breaking news. Matt Rhule just released the official Nebraska 2024 depth chart. So in today's video, I'm going to go over my instant reaction. We'll look over the studs, the surprises, and trust me, there's a bunch in everything else in between. So really quick, we have a lot to talk about. If you're fired up about the season, only 5 days away, make sure to hit that like button. I know I am. And hey, if you're new to the channel or just a returning viewer, make sure to subscribe. I post daily Nebraska football content. And if you weren't watching this summer, you're absolutely going to want to watch this fall when the Huskers hit the field. So make sure to join the best family here on Husker YouTube and hit that subscribe button. It would help me out greatly. But without further ado, let's get into it, going over Nebraska's official 2024 depth chart just released by Matt Rhule about an hour ago. And as you can see here, here is the offense. Let's go to the offensive line first because there's really no surprises, okay? Turner Corcoran, Justin Evans, Ben Scott, Micah Mazuka, Bryce Benhart. That's been your starting five the last 2 weeks. But what's intriguing about the offensive line is the depth. Grant Segrin is that swing tackle, the first guy to come off the bench more likely than not. On the other side, Gunnar Gatula, also a swing tackle off the bench. Henry Letufsky is listed here. Right now, he is injured, but should be back by week 2 against Colorado. And again, there's a lot of inexperience. You have guys like Sam Sledge, Tyler Kanaka, really never played in the game for Nebraska. And then guys like Jacob Hood, they're not named. That's a guy that Nebraska took from the portal last year out of Georgia, had a very high ceiling, and has had a really disappointing career so far with Nebraska. So that was the offensive line, but let's go back to the quarterback position here. Dylan Raiola is that guy. Hoiberg number 2, Kalen number 3. Not too shocking. But let's talk about Jalen Gramstad because right now he's quarterback 4. What does his future look like for Nebraska? Well, simply put, I do not think we'll see Jalen Gramstad in a game this year. They're going to want to give Kalen some reps against UTEP, against Northern Iowa. If we are actively putting in our quarterback 3, there are some problems that are going on. So Jalen Gramstad probably will not play. That was always the plan when he committed to Nebraska anyways, was that he was basically going to be a veteran in that quarterback room. He's going to be a leader, and he's going to transition to coaching next year. So still a very good thing, but I know some people are going to have questions about that. Kalen's a freshman. We want him to get those reps because he's going to be here for the long haul. Nothing surprising there at quarterback. Let's talk about the running back position because a lot of people went to Twitter, they went to Instagram, they're saying, Rahmir Johnson's the starter. Who could believe this? Look at the bottom right corner. It says or. Okay, they just named every single running back based on their number, 14, 21, 22, 23. So a lot of ors here, guys. We do not know who that starting running back is going to be. Again, my guess is that the first running back to play versus UTEP will be Emmett Johnson. It will be a running back by committee situation. Gabe Irvin will also be in the mix. Rahmir Johnson will be in the mix as well. Not too shocking here, but should be noted that Rahmir Johnson is not the running back 1, it just says or next to his name. At the wide receiver spot, Jamal Banks, I told you guys, is that wide receiver X. Isaiah Nair starting at wide receiver Z. And then Janiran Bonner is your slot receiver. So a lot of people were confused about this. Why is Janiran Bonner starting the slot? Shouldn't it be Nair? Shouldn't it be Lloyd? At the end of the day, and you've seen this with Matt Rhule and Baylor at the Panthers, he likes bigger slot receivers. There's a reason why he was trying out Carter Nelson in the slot. He was trying out guys like even IGC in the slot. So that's really not too much of a surprise. Again, Jalen Lloyd is technically coming off the bench according to this depth chart. He is going to get reps. He'll be in the game a lot. Like, don't be worried about that. And then Jacory Barney as well is basically in the 2 deep. So, again, the guy who's had a very good fall camp, had a really good spring camp. Jacory Barney will not be redshirted. He'll be in the game early and often. Another thing I want to mention here, Malachi Coleman is not in the 2 deep according to this depth chart. Again, now listed as number 80. He kind of flirted with the number 11, but now at 80. That's interesting. Very interesting that Malachi is not listed there. I thought he might have cracked it, but it's always been a thing. Like, Malachi's super talented. My gosh, is he talented. He gets 6'5", runs a 4.4. It's just about doing all the right things from Monday to Friday. Again, he's a great player on Saturday. You just got to do everything right at practice. Hopefully he can find the field because, again, this is a very deep receiver room, and it's only getting deeper with a good recruiting class coming in. So he needs to make plays, and hopefully he'll get on the field. So that's a situation we'll probably keep eyes on. Last thing here in the offense before we get to the defense, the tight end position. Again, that was nothing surprising. Fidoni's your guy, Bork, and then Lindenmeyer up next. So not too many shocks here on the offensive side of the football, but we have a lot to talk about on defense. Let's scroll down here. So starting off with the defensive line, Ty Robinson, Nash, Jamari Butler are your starters. Once again, not a surprise. But here's what I think is interesting. Cameron Lenhart, of course, is that kind of next guy off the bench. But what I find really perplexing, Elijah Jeudy at nose tackle. Not sure if that's a mistake, but Elijah Jeudy is a defensive end. He's a 3 technique. At least he should be. Okay, only listed at 6'3", he's about 200, maybe 85, 280. I have no idea why he's listed as a nose tackle, because if you watch Elijah Jeudy, you watch his film, that's not his game at all, right? He is a great edge rusher. He's a guy who has a nice little swim move, a nice little spin move. When you're inside, you can't do any of that. So I was kind of interested about that. And then they moved Riley Van Poppel, who previously was a nose, to that 3 technique spot. Again, I think he can play both positions, but I would have liked if they kind of swapped those two. Again, not sure if that was an error or not, but I found that really perplexing. James Williams also will get a lot of reps. He's in that 3 deep. Kai Wallen as well, Vincent Jackson. Sua Lafodu not mentioned here, along with Keone Davis. I know a lot of people have been on the Keone Davis train. I told you guys I believe he'll be redshirted, but he'll play in 4 games. So looking at those 8, 9 guys here, every single one of those players will get in the game every single time. Every single Saturday, you will see all 9 of those, because that's how the defensive line works in college football. We rotate 8 or 9 every single game. So all those guys are going to get some legit reps. So that's the defensive line. At the linebacker core, John Bullock and Mekhi Gabbert are your starters inside. Not too much of a shock there with Buda Wright being out. And then Vincent Shavers and Stephon Thompson are your 2 off the bench. I've been really disappointed with Stephon Thompson. Man, I really thought he was going to be our lead linebacker going into this year. Of course, he didn't have a good spring camp. Has been a little bit better in fall camp. But again, if you're not beating out John Bullock, that's a little bit of a problem in my opinion. Again, John Bullock's a good player, but Stephon Thompson has outproduced him every single year of his career. What's different here? I don't know. We're going to get answers very quickly, though. But nothing too crazy in the linebacker room. Vincent Shavers is going to be phenomenal. I talked about him. That guy is great. At that jack position, MJ Sherman will be your starter. Princewell Manmielen off the bench. Again, Princewell will be in the game a lot. I am of a belief that when the season is over, Princewell will be the starter. MJ will be the second stringer. Okay, because last year, when you rewind the film, you rewind the statistics, Princewell actually outplayed MJ like the entire season, specifically the later half, the last 6 games. Princewell is awesome, and I think Princewell has a higher ceiling. He's younger, he's more athletic. He is a future NFL type of guy. So I think Princewell, as the season progresses, will be the starter. I'm not really on the MJ Sherman hype train, because I was on it last year and we all got burnt. The people who were on it last year got burnt. He was not good. He got benched last season. Hopefully he can turn around, but I think Princewell is going to be really good, and I think probably as the year progresses, he'll get more and more reps. Let's talk about the secondary here, because this is probably the biggest question mark on the team, in my opinion, and you can see it here on this depth chart. The starters are good. Excuse me, I have to go back to that. Here we go. The starters are good. Tommy Hill, okay, at corner. Then you have Marquise Buford. You feel good about that. Then at safety, Gifford, Hartzog, Singleton. Very good starters. It's a depth issue. There's not a single player in the depth rotation that I really feel confident in. Okay, Amari Sanders, true freshman corner. Okay, we've heard a lot about him in the last couple of weeks. I expect Larry Tarver, Mario Buford to also be in the mix. They're not listed on this depth chart. Sear Wright will also be there. He's had a good fall camp. And then Bly Hill, who's out with another injury right now, is not even starting. So a lot of the Bly Hill hype was just smoke, it looks like. Because if he was healthy, I don't even think he would start still over Marquise or Sear Wright. So that Bly Hill hype train was really not warranted. And honestly, I think that's okay, because really he does not have a lot of experience. He was at St. Francis for 1 year. I think he has high upside. I just didn't really feel comfortable having him start, at least to begin the season. But the depth is, again, pretty slim pickings, especially when you look at the safety core. Your backup safeties, Derek Branch, who's a former walk-on. I believe he still is a walk-on. Kobe Bretz, who has really never played throughout his career, former guy coming out of West Side. And then Ramir Stewart, second-year player, who I actually really like. I just not sure if I like him at Rover. I prefer him at strong safety. So a lot of inexperience in that secondary, specifically for the depth. Hopefully we do not have injuries there, because, oh my gosh, it could really hurt us as the year progresses. All right, let's look at the special teams real quick. Again, still a battle there for that kicker spot. Alvano, John Hull. I mentioned this in my video yesterday. Nico Ottamelli is not in the mix. Okay, so I know some people commented. They're like, why didn't you mention Nico? It's because it's down to Tristan or John. One of those guys will be the kicker. And I truly believe if Tristan Alvano is healthy by Saturday, and I mean like 100% healthy, he will be the guy. He's going to be the guy no matter what, in my opinion. Buschini will be the starting punter. We need him to have a turnaround year because last year was awful. Spring game was awful. The open practice was not good either. So Brian Buschini, he went from being one of the best punters in college football in 22 to one of the worst in 23. We need to get back to that level because he is a leg. He is a really big leg. It's just about being consistent. And then also here, look at the kick return spot. Okay, Ja'Cory Barney and Ramir Johnson are your two. I love that. I love that. Those are two dynamic players with the ball in their hands. They could take it to the crib. I expect, even maybe a guy like perhaps even Isaiah Garcia Castaneda to get involved in the kick return department. Even maybe a Sierra Wright. And then, of course, you see IGC there for the punt returns. He should start with Ja'Cory Barnett as well. So, again, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, he's not necessarily explosive. He's not going to bring a punt return to the house. He's not a DeMornay personnel. But what he is a sure-handed guy where he's not going to muff it. He's not going to fumble the football. He'll come down and fair catch it. So, all right, guys. That is the official depth chart. Let me know down below, what was a shock for you when looking at this depth chart for Nebraska? Something that you expected, something you predicted? Let me know down below. And hey, if you made this far in the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, folks, go Big Red, go Rhule, and see you in the next one.